Yo guys, how are you guys doing today? You cannot really see me right now, and that's because I'm not gonna be the one leading this discussion today. One of our sisters will be here today to lead us this discussion. But before that, I just want to come here and to welcome everybody and ask everybody to come and join because it's very important. We'll have, hopefully, we'll have two sisters here talking about this topic, and this is how it started. We were all in a group, group going on, and we were seeing a lot of comments, amazing ideas, people saying. Just ask my two guys if they can come and share what they were sharing in the group, and they have agreed, and we're gonna have them here talking about that. And but before that, I just want to raise a word of prayer, and I'll leave the stage for them. You guys are following us on WhatsApp. I think you've seen that. And if you're not, I mean, we have a WhatsApp group. What you can do right now, you can copy this link and share with somebody. Amazing, because it's very important for have these discussions. Let me pray a little quick. God, I thank you for today. I thank you for this session we're gonna have. With our people right here. So I just pray that as we are having this discussion, you'll be here with us. You'll help us to understand, and we'll grow. And at the end of the day, we'll have that a united Africa that we wish and want. I commit everything in your hands. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So we have our sister here, Cherry, and we have Hewan. Hewan Telahun. I think your device is not connected yet. Yes, so you need to try to come back again, and I'll give you a chance, guys, to continue. So Hewan, I think you have to, yeah, you can unblock your mic, and yeah, and you have to try that again. Hey, Cherry, it's good to see you, sister. How are you today?
Hello, Mika. I'm okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to hear from you. It was not arranged. It was not planned. It just happened like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I have to
Yes,
learn to be spontaneous.
yes, exactly. Exactly. You guys, what you're talking in the group, I mean, I just went through a little bit, and I was like, man, this is not a discussion to discuss in the group that has like 154 participants. This has to be out there for people to hear and to listen. Yeah, and most of all, we just want to share this knowledge with everybody to really understand. And it's not about who is right and who is wrong, but it's about sharing
Mhm.
our opinion and what we really know. So yeah, and that's why I thought like it's very important to bring that conversation here.
Yes, I agree. The thing is, the divide and conquer, well, technique, for want of a better word, is something that all the former colonies have suffered from, and really, I think the British perfected the art of creating division within communities in order to pit one group against the other so that no single community was ever powerful enough to to overthrow the British. I think that um, even after all these countries have gained independence, we still remained with the division, and I have not really been able to pinpoint the reason that we haven't been able to see what was done to us and decide that we will not continue. Um, Even today I would say in India, if you listen to their description of what the British did to their society, today India is, well, on paper, if you look at it from the standpoint of an economist, it's a force to be reckoned with. But then when you look at the Indian news, which I do regularly, it is an extremely divided country. And every time they discuss the years of the British rule, they say it was England that brought this division to their society, whether that's true or not. I believe it is, because in my own country, Trinidad and Tobago, it is an extremely cosmopolitan population, but very, very divided. And it started with the British rule as well. So I think in order to understand the problem of division on the African continent, we have to explore exactly what myths about each community were planted by the Europeans who were on the continent exploiting the resources. That is the first place to start. And I have not yet read enough to be able to say exactly how it was done. I would be grateful if someone maybe could come onto the stream and show how we can overcome this, because it really is deep rooted. If we could overcome that, then the Americans would not be able to come to us and create any sort of violent conflict in any of our countries, be it Ethiopia or Sudan or Somalia. They wouldn't be able to do it if we could overcome that. And I think our generation is the one to do it. And when I say our generation, I don't mean just the millennials or the Gen Zs. In this time period, the energy is at a level where radical change is definitely possible. So I really would be grateful if someone could come and assist with how we can stop perpetuating the myths about the different communities and just see each person as a fellow human being, a person who is worthy of our compassion, just as we would like compassion. We do have it in our culture, what we call Ubuntu, which I've just mispronounced because I don't know the proper pronunciation. But we could.
Ubuntu is the right one.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. So I'm really not sure how to overcome the problem. It is a problem that started with colonialism.
So, Terry, do you mind to, because I think some people, they might not understand where this is coming from. You explained really well, actually. But, I was in the group and, so if there's any way to, like bring back or to explain a little bit about this divide and rule leadership that you're talking about, just to give a full picture of where, this is coming from, like, how like you came to that point, you know what I'm saying?
Well, our sister Hiwan related that in her country, people were destroying property because I think they didn't want any property that came from efforts from charitable entities. And the leaders there used the divide and rule, technique, which she attributed to Stalin. I wasn't exactly sure. We didn't really develop that point. I know she attributed that technique to Stalin in her particular country. So that was how this started, because we were saying that her country was suffering from a victim mentality where we have the oppressed and the oppressor. And one group would target another as the reason for all their problems, scapegoat that community, and just create a narrative of demonizing other communities within a single country on the continent. That was how it started. It happens in any country with as we had said before, with Europeans exploiting the resources and not allowing the local people to have full control over their resources. So we have the illusion of having limited resources, and that is how we start scapegoating other communities when we think we cannot reach our full potential because of another group. So that was how this whole topic started.
Yeah. Well, that's really beautiful. We have, I mean, Chris, Hewan, she's here, but she's constantly not connected. Her device is not connected.
It
I don't know
happens.
why.
But the same thing, interestingly enough, is happening in Europe and the USA, and that was how the politicians did exactly the same thing and started. They chose the immigrant groups, the immigrant populations to use as the scapegoat. So it's exactly the same thing, and that was why a certain party in the USA actually used, and in France as well, and Italy, a number of the, well, Caucasian countries, they started to use anti-immigration as a major point of gaining votes during their elections. So they're actually suffering from the same problem as our continent.
Yeah.
Because other people also think that they cannot reach their full potential because they don't have enough opportunities and resources available to them. But nobody is seeing that there's a group of the population that has excess resources and opportunities, whether they are qualified to have those opportunities or not. Nobody ever, blames that group or sees them as responsible for the problems. They always choose a vulnerable group.
So for your suggestion, do you I love the fact, Cherry, I really just want to give you a credit for how you elaborate that, because I mean, I think nobody could. I mean, I think you've done an amazing job, and even myself, I have a full picture. Actually, I'll just say that because I went ahead, I read, you guys things that you were saying, and I didn't even like try to sit down and just develop it, because I was like, Hewan and Chrissy, you guys are the most active, people in the group, right? You're always discussing very, important topics. And I was like, these two, I need them, to just go like this, there on YouTube, without caring about anything, but just to have the same conversation, because you have pretty, good points over there. So my question is, okay, you said you don't know how to get out, but I still want to know if you have any any suggestions. What do you think, as Africans, like everybody who is listening to you right now, how can we get out of this system of divide and rule? Like, if there will be like a point that you want to lead us on, that, oh, I think, for this we need to do A, B, C, D, or it can be this. If you have that in your mind, whatever that you have going on in your mind, do you mind, you can share with us?
Well, I'll start on a what should I say? On a small scale level, and then I'll try to develop it into a societal level. I heard recently that one of the African countries was, well, required that people put their, I can't remember if it's their tribe on a document. And I think it's in order to see that, to see whether opportunities were being distributed fairly. That was the impression that I got. It wasn't in order to cause tribal division in the country. It was, they wanted that that identifying information on the document in order to ensure that all the tribes were given opportunities. It had something to do with distribution of opportunities. And I would say, even though there was people panicked when they heard they would have to put that information, I could understand the fear. I'm thinking maybe the leader, has good intentions, and perhaps they should tweak the efforts to ensure that everybody can reach their full potential. I would say from personal experience, when I had my opportunities to study in the field that I enjoyed, at that point, I didn't care about what other groups had anymore. I just focused on working extremely hard, studying extremely hard, and reaching my goal. So I think a major part of the division comes from the frustration of not being able to meet their goals while observing other people being able to do so. So that is, if we could address that, it would actually minimize the power that the divide and conquer tactics could have in the society.
All right. Well, one, she's still trying to come, but her device is not connected.
I know Hewan mentions that she accidentally muted her microphone.
Yeah. She mentioned that, but she's been trying to come. This is like the third time she tried to come again, but it's still just a device not connected. And I really wanted to leave this conversation for you guys because there's a way that you two are connected and things are just going escalating all the time to another level. And it's nice to see that. It's really nice to see that. Like, I just want to come and just listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of time I just want to sit back here and listen. I use that time a lot when His Excellence Ezra is doing it because, I need to feed my soul too with all this knowledge.
Well, I'm glad I was able to help to make a contribution.
Yeah.
I know for sure we are doing something right on the continent because when anytime I had a lecturer from Africa, he was always brilliant. He did an excellent job. I had no complaints at all. We're doing something right on the continent, definitely. The education system has achieved a lot. We just need to find a way to include everyone in it, I suppose, as well as people who are not, who would prefer to use their artistic talents as well, and they shouldn't be made to feel that they are inferior to those who prefer to be bookworms like me. So, no, but it is a good thing. And there are people too who are very, very balanced. They can excel at both at the same time, which I think is admirable. I mean, I grew up in very, very. It's really admirable when you see people meeting their full potential, and they have made us very proud, I must say, when I see people from Africa being brilliant lecturers. I always felt very proud.
Yeah, indeed. So you that basically you're saying that you think that Africa, we are moving on the right direction.
I think that we are. I know we have our problems. That there's no country that does not have problems.
Mm. Mm. And one thing that I saw it was mentioned there, it's the leadership issue. Like someone say, okay, the only people to blame here are leaders and all those kind of things. So where are we? If that's the issue, if that's the problem, where leaders are coming from? Like in this issue, like what is leaders' fault?
It, I will, for that, I would have to repeat what I heard. In There are doctors from the continent who work in my country, and their main
Mm.
complaint was that um, a lot of the money was being used for personal endeavors of leaders. And they said that
Mm.
I was lucky because at least they see in my country roads being built and infrastructure. They see where the tax dollars are going. And they complained that they, in their country, they wish that money would be spent in those projects instead of personal mansions or personal property. That was the main reason that they stated. I've never
Yeah.
been to the continent, so I can't verify, you know, the veracity of what they said, but that was the reason given.
Mm. And how is our people in where you are right now doing?
Um, we did have a major problem with discrimination, particularly in the faculty of medicine,
Mm.
which was my faculty.
Mm.
Many people had the grades and were not getting into the program.
Mm.
And
Mm.
instead, some some of them decided to go abroad to study medicine when we could have done it in this country if there hadn't been the horrible racial discrimination that exists.
Mm.
And in the faculty, I would say um, it was, what can I say, in the first few years when I didn't have to interact closely with faculty, I was in heaven. I was fine. It was just me, my books, and my models of the human skeleton and the specimens in the lab. But when it reached the clinical years, when you had to interact closely with faculty members, I
Mm.
cannot deny that there was terrible racial discrimination. It was undeniable. It was obvious.
Mm.
Patients saw it. So it was and that's why I always get a little nervous when people mention in the group that we should discard religion altogether because in order to solve the problems of the African continent, because it was my faith that sustained me when I was facing racial
Mm.
discrimination
Yeah.
at the university.
Mm.
Without that, I don't think I would have had the strength
Mm.
to
Mm.
overcome the racial discrimination at all.
Yeah.
It certainly was not my imagination if patients noticed
Yeah. Yeah.
that there was
Yeah.
discrimination. The patients noticed, so it wasn't my imagination at all.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you because I went through the same thing, right? 9 years when I
Mm-hmm.
was there, and I experienced that. I always experience that every single day. But I gotta say that there's a lot of people who actually gave up and walk away.
Mm.
Um, but I gotta say that my faith helped me so much to, to actually not even care about that at the end of the day, because it was kind of like daily thing, and to just like look at God, because I know how He sees me and I know myself in Him. And so it doesn't really matter what other people, think and see me. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, like, it's very practical to me, and it's a testimony, as you're sharing right now. So it's yeah, yeah, it's something that very beautiful.
I think it is important for us to, it doesn't have to be on the group level, it could be on a personal level, but
Yeah.
to overcome, for those
Mhm.
of us who are Christians, to overcome the damage that the Christianity was
Mhm.
misused.
Mhm.
It really was misused in order to oppress by
Yeah.
showing um, images of God which they created, even
Yeah.
images of Jesus which they created. I know many people in the group cite that as a reason why we should discard religion altogether. We don't
Mhm.
have to succumb to that,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And in the Christian Bible, it really discourages making images of that which is sacred. And
Exactly.
God, in His wisdom, knew that making images would um, lend itself to people using the image for oppression and politics.
Mhm.
And that is why um, the Islamic approach, in which no images are made of any representation of God,
Mhm.
is a good approach. And if we study the Bible properly, that is the approach we should have as well. Because when
Yeah.
you have an image, you limit God and you
Yeah.
misuse the image.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we had
Definitely.
stuck to our teachings, the colonizers would not have been able to use an image to oppress
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
Christianity existed in Africa before colonizers came. What they did
Exactly.
was distort the
Mhm.
beliefs.
Yes. Yes. Indeed. Indeed. That's very interesting point. Yeah, that's very interesting point, that it already existed in Africa, but they wanted to distort that belief, and they did it. And now some of us, we do believe that, oh, they brought Christianity to Africa, but it's not truth.
No, it's not.
They it's just like when they come to Africa and then they say, we discovered this place, and so we'll call this place, what we'll call this place, like Victory Lake or something. You
Mm-hmm.
always have people there who discovered all those places, and it doesn't make sense that they say that discovered that place. Cherry, I have somebody else here, Humble Tube. I wanna let him in, and I will leave you with him.
Okay.
um yes, you are in charge,
Oh.
and yeah, you can control this as much as you want. And you've been here all the time, and you see how I do, so you are in charge. And
Mm-hmm.
okay, he left, he ran away. um
Oh boy.
yeah, he ran away. But anyways, I really wanna appreciate you, Christy, for being ready to do this. And I think it's a short conversation, but it has been really amazing. It's been really good. And okay, Humble Chibi is here. I just wanted to leave, but okay, Humble Chibi is here. I'm not gonna let him leave. Chrissy, it's on you now, all right?
Okay.
Good afternoon, good morning.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great. And yeah,
I'm fine, thank you. So, we'll be happy to hear your contribution.
actually, I was like joining when I see the invitation link.
Mm-hmm.
I was not like really not well aware of the topics that you are just discussing right now.
We were talking about how leadership impacts, or how leadership styles served as a hindrance to achieving our full potential. Mainly the divide and conquer tactic that many of our leaders use. And we explored the origins of this tactic. It started with the colonizers who came, and it has continued ever since. And we'd like to know, hi to Niger. We would like to hi. We'd like to brainstorm in order to overcome this hindrance of the leadership styles to our achieving our full potential on the continent.
Is he gonna? I thought he was here before me, so I'll let him go first.
Okay, but he did mention that he just saw the stream was on, so you could go ahead and then I suppose he'll continue and respond.
Okay. I think divide and rule is almost an inherent part of the way human beings separate, friend from foe. So it's how it's inherent in. That's why it's so easy for leaders to use their tactics, and it's been proven scientifically that you can use even a paragraph to program people to either be more loyal to each other or have them divide against each other. Just one phrase can change the whole thing. So, and that's how fickle human mind is, the way we look at things. And it means, the reason why I say this is because if, as a human being, if you understand this is how you operate, you are more likely to be aware when you are being manipulated. And I think people should be aware of that. And when you're aware of these things, then you keep your eyes on the prize. You don't fall for any win or anything that anybody, any shiny object they dangle before you. The way it works is that first, if you want to deal with divisive leaders, you focus on what you want from them. It's very, very important. What you want from them is the key. It's not about the noise that they are making. You say, can you do this for me? If you cannot, go to the side. If you're asking me to hate my own without it, because if somebody says, okay, you know what, I hate bandits, I don't like terrorists, I want to destroy terrorists, since that aligns with what you want, whether it's divisive or not, you don't care. You say, fine, go ahead and do it. So divisive term is only effective when you allow them to use it to dissuade you from what is good, what you actually want. And I think when we give them that power, then you surrender your own interests. So say I want, a country without corruption, and the leader comes to me and start telling me about, this tribe versus the other tribe. This is unfair and that is unfair. I would like, how is that going to do with corruption? That's not going to solve the corruption issue. So I will focus and say, I want corruption. And it means if the people do that, now you're likely to get a politician that will rise up and say, you know what, my job is to deal with corruption. And then that leader that is talking about tribes will lose. Because now the divisive tactics doesn't work anymore. But sometimes they play into people's feelings and say, you know what, that guy, you should go after that guy because he's from this tribe, and you go after that guy because he's from the other tribe. And once you fall for that, then you've actually lost sight of your own interest, your own real interest. And it's a kind of trick that we have to learn in this life, because everything is a transaction. You're doing with everybody. It's a form of transaction. And if you are transacting something with somebody and you let them sell you short of what you actually want, that is on you. And it's on you. And you need to learn how to understand what you actually want and go for it. And I think this is something our people really, really need to pay attention to, because leaders are often very, very, they find it easy to tell people this thing because people don't understand where their own power lie in the whole equation. Because sometimes, you know, the news media, they will tell you, oh, this leader said this, they will sensationalize it, and then this one said that, they will make it sensational too. In the midst of all that noise, you forget your own interest. And you know, in the case of Nigeria now, what we find in Nigeria is that the university group institution, that is a kind of organization, they are on strike. So the lecturers are not going to universities and students are not at universities, and the government is not agreeing with the lecturers, so they're having problems. In the end, the students suffer.
Yeah.
But the problem with the system is that when you hear that, that is when people should react. That is when women should come out on the street, because they are destroying their children's lives. What happens with that is that those children, some of them want, I mean, I wouldn't call them children, like students, some of them want to finish university in 4 years. They end up spending 6 years at university because of long strikes. And eventually, those parents still have to pay for those years that the students will spend at university. But yeah, you don't see them on the streets. You know, those are the kind of you have to prioritize the things that really matter. Because these people, if you look at the people that are striking, one side will say, oh, I'm fighting for the students. The other side will say, I'm fighting for the student. But in the end, who is losing out? You, the student. So that's the transaction part. That's why I feel like this transaction is very important. As a student in Nigeria, I said they should be furious with both of them, because they are just dividing. They say, take side, take side. Taking side is not going to solve the problem, because they are all failing you. So you need to strike at both of them. Say, I want to attend university. That is my interest. I don't care about your craziness that you people are going on about. If you don't solve it, plague up both of your houses and you pay for it. And sooner or later, if you approach it like that, you're going to get leaders and academics that will start listening to what the students want and parents want. You know, you hear people like in Nigeria recently, you see these women, they go and protest about women's rights because it's February. I was like, so you have the energy to go to this thing to protest about women's rights, and you sit in a country that students are sitting at home for years, not going to university. You sit in a country that don't have constant power supply. You don't protest for that. You are doing transaction. You would rather go and protest for women's rights. Since when has women's right put food on your table? Since when has women's right put have your children go to school, or give us 24/7 power supply? People sometimes fall for the wrong thing. This is what I mean by divine and rule. They will tell you to go and fight for women's right, as if that is what is the most important thing in the country today. We have a bigger problems to worry about. They can give you all the rights you have, but you don't have power supply. Your students the economy is bad, and there's insecurity everywhere. What is the use of a women's right? So I speak from this in my own experience with Nigeria, and feel like our people need to start understanding that they need to know what to ask their politicians for. You have to empower. I think the people use that empower word a lot and don't even like it anymore. You just have to let people know that politics is a clever game. It's a transaction all the time, and people should be more selfish with what they want from the government. They should not trade it for what the government tells them that they should want. If you say you want security, make sure anybody that wants to run for office tells you what they're going to do for security. You know, it tells you that it will give you the numbers, how they're going to solve the problem for security, and make it an agenda. This is what Western people do all the time, and they are very, very good at doing it. It's just that we Africans, once we get into political mode, we start thinking about tribes. You see what I mean? Divide and rule tactics can only work if you empower them to be able to divide you. That said, I have to excuse the citizens of many African countries. As a matter of fact, many citizens of the West too. It's very easy to divide people. You'll be shocked how quick it is. And it's something that I feel that lesson needs to be taught to everybody in this world. It's an important lesson for people to learn. I don't know. Let me just give you this quick narrative about one experiment that was carried out. You know, a group of about 20 students came into a room, and they told them, you know what? They split them in half. One group take a page of this story that they wrote down in the page, and the other group, they give them the same story to read. So each of the groups, the only difference between their stories, this entire story is the same. The only thing they changed was they changed the we's in one of them to I, the ours to is, the me to us to mine. Everything is said in as an individual on one of the stories, and the other one is us, our, and so that's basically the difference. After they all finish reading the story, within 5 minutes they finish reading, and they ask them, they ask the group that read the story about my, me, and mine, stuff like that. They ask those that members of that group, if say one of your team members are in danger, like they are on a rail track, and the only way to save them is that you risk your life and probably sacrifice your life for them. About 10 to 15% of them said, you know what, they're going to sacrifice their lives for their team member. This group that read the I, mine, and all the rest. And then they asked the other group that read the we, us, our. What would you do if your team member is on a track and you may need to risk your life to save them? The group that read that we, us, our, about over 50% of them said they will trade their lives for their teammate. So it tells you that just one page can do that to a human mind. I feel people should really understand this, because we all know the term divide and rule, conquer and divide and rule. If we understand this, it will equip you to protect yourself against such tricks that politicians play. You become a bit more immune to it, because you don't get suckered in. Human beings are very, very easy to program. Sometimes even just by the little things that you see, the signboards you see on the road when you're going, subliminal messages are everywhere. If you know what you're doing, you can have people behave in a certain way.
That's true.
And so people should keep an eye on that. And there are so many ways to manipulate human beings. It's ridiculous. And that's why my own approach is, I say, start from what you want. When you get home, you check whether that is still on the list of your priorities, whether the list, the politician has changed it. So if you start from there, it will be a little bit trickier for them to confuse you with bribery and all the nonsense that they talk about. And who knows, in some countries you have political scandals and all that stuff. Then you miss the point, so divide and rule can only work. And to be fair, as sad as it is, I think it's going to work for a while to come, because it's going to take a long time for people to catch on to how these things truly work. They may never even catch on. People may never catch on. It's a very, very fickle thing to be able to, navigate. I get caught. I get caught. It's not like I'm completely immune. I get caught all the time. So they are clever people, and if I was a leader, I want to be evil. My goodness, I want to be evil. I will be able to manipulate people like crazy. People buy into stuff so quickly because they don't understand how their mind. They don't even know how their own mind works. Your neighbor today can turn to your enemy tomorrow. How quickly it can happen, you'll be shocked. And we all know about the story of Rwanda, how they all start killing their own next door neighbors. And because humans, once you are divided, you don't see that your friend anymore as your friend. You don't see that neighbor anymore as your neighbor. This is a tried and tested fact of life that we have experienced. And as a matter of fact, if I was founding like an NGO or any kind of social enterprise, this is one area I will really put a lot of effort in, to allow people to understand their mind and how to resist other people changing, altering the way they think about stuff that is not of their interest. It's a very, very important skill to build up. And you know, so that's all I've got to say. I don't know if anyone else has something to add. Hello.
I think she's answering call.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Who is that? Who is that in the arrow?
Yeah, it's me, Josie.
Oh, Josie, go ahead. You have come to say that we are talking
Yeah,
about the divide
yeah.
and rule.
I've been listening to you, and that is actually
Oh, Josie, go ahead.
interesting
You have come
point.
to say that we are talking about the divide and rule.
Yeah, divide and rule to you, and that is actually
Oh, Josie, go ahead.
interesting.
You have come to say that we are talking about the divide and rule.
Yeah, divide and rule to you.
You have an echo.
That is actually.
Oh, Josie, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I mean the lady has an echo.
Ah, I see what happened. Sorry. Yeah, I was disconnected for a minute. I'm back.
Yeah.
You can continue. I'm listening.
Yeah. I think he probably thought he was the one that had the echo.
No,
So,
it was me.
yeah. My suggestion is people learn more about this, and you know, we talk about Pan-Africanism and stuff like that. If we truly want those things to succeed, we have to equip people with these type of things too. You know, because sometimes all it takes is you know, people that want to thwart one's progress will just isolate one group and feed them information, and then they will turn. They will turn on. You know, this is why nations can easily be sabotaged. In many of our countries, can be sabotaged easily. You know, and one other aspect of divide and rule that we have to watch out for is also when groups feel marginalized. That is also very important to keep an eye on, because then they are looking to be sold the goods of division already. You know, you know, for somebody to be able to divide, there's something, there has to be something there to divide, isn't it? So as much as you're aware of your mind, you also, one has to pay attention to marginalized people. Any group that is marginalized in our communities and on the continent, we also have to bring them into the system. Obviously, there is always a limit to some of these things. You know, sometimes what I find is that some people claim to be marginalized, but what they are basically saying is that they want control of everything. So, and it depends on what you call marginalization, because if someone says, you know what, my people have been oppressed, you will never give us power, you take our resources, you don't help us, and all that. Okay, true, that's your truth. What does the other side say? And what is the objective truth? Because one has to always learn to settle at the objective truth, because sometimes you hear every group pointing fingers at each other. You know, as much as Africa is diverse and it's a great thing, that could cause problems very quickly. And I've experienced it in Nigeria, where you have people, you know, Igbos will say Hausas do this, Hausas will say Yorubas do this. Everybody's pointing fingers at each other. But in reality, what they really are saying is, you know what? Let me control everything. Let me control everything. Otherwise, nothing is fair. So any common sense person would now pull back and say, you know what? There is an objective truth here. You, the Igbo man, you control the businesses of Nigeria. The Yoruba man controls the finance and industries of many parts of Nigeria. The Hausas control the administration and there's some parts of the military. So everybody has a stake. Everybody controls strategic aspects of the country. And when one side, you see, that's the problem. In reality, that is what is actually on the ground. But when one side says, oh no, all I do is control the military and the government, I need the banking too. What they are basically saying, give me more. You see what I mean? Give me more. And you are one house, you see, that's why you have to have a good sense of objective truths. Because everybody thinks they have, they are being marginalized. So That's what the reason why I raised that point is there are actually people that are truly marginalized, and objectively, if you look at it, they are marginalized. Just because they don't have power doesn't mean their voices shouldn't be heard, because we know what the consequence of that is. If you don't address it, it means that that marginalized people could become, they can easily be used. That's what they call divide and rule, isn't it? You because they are marginalized, any entity that doesn't like, they don't want stability in your country, they will come and say, you know what, I will help you get independence. You see how they are treating you? It's not nice. Those people, you shouldn't work with them. Come and work with us. We will help you get independence. Just start this war. We are going to fund you so that you fight the war, and then the war will start. They will fund it and fund it. By the time they will fund it, so you never win the war, and they will so just to keep the war going, and the country will be decimated. And this is how we lost the continent, because we always had people that felt the other people, we need to defeat them. So we work with the white men to defeat the other tribe. And that by the time the white men claim all the tribes, then you will be last. They'll say, you know what, it's time. It's time for you to go. So that is one of the ways this divide and rule can really, really cause problems for us if we are not careful about it. It's quite a lamentable tale if you look at the history of Africa and how that happened. And we have to learn to get past that. And I would say, the Africa of today is not the Africa of even 20 years ago. Yeah, it's not. The Africa we have today is very different. There are so many things in Africa today that Kwame Nkrumah would have killed to have. He literally would have killed people to achieve some of the things that has been achieved on the continent today, like the the free trade area, and they're talking about the common passport. Can you believe that? The common passport. The continent actually has a defense pact that nobody even knows about. The African Union,
common currency in one zone.
Yeah, they are even thinking about that too. So there are so many things that these African leaders have done that seem like they seem to know what they are doing, and it's a bit of a tricky situation, because at the same time you see the other side. What I have found is that sometimes you see both sides all the time. Like one side, they are doing good. The other side, there's a lot of lamentable things that are still going on. And the trick I've learned is that I learn to take yes for an answer. When I see something going well, I say, okay, I will accept it. And when I see something wrong going on, I will push that one away. I don't want that. And that is the idea of, it's about you, what you want to see. Don't make it about them, because people make the mistake of, because when you make it about them, that's when you lose sight of what the truth is, in my mind anyway. Because what you tend to find with many Africans is that they just condemn the leaders like that, like blanket, like nothing good is happening at all. And that is where that kind of divide and rule tactics comes from. And the people that gain from this divide and rule tactics are not Africans. If we all hate our leaders, what do you think is happening there? We are being conditioned to hate our own countries, hate our leaders, and our leaders are being conditioned to hate us or not even care about us. So it's a lose-lose. And then the few ones that are doing the good things, they could get sabotaged by the other two sides that hate the leaders and the other side that love the leaders, or the leaders don't love the people. The ones that are negative will win out if we are not careful. But so far, from what I can see, continent-wide, there has been a lot of positive steps that I've seen. And I have to accept that. I'm tired of people who keep saying, oh, they are all sellouts. They are all this. They've sold us out. They just say all kinds of stuff without thinking of saying, okay, you know what? They may be selling us out, but this bridge they built is not sold out. The bridge is going to allow my car to cross the river. The train station that they have, the train line, the rail tracks that they are laying, I'm going to use it. So you have to learn to take yes for an answer. Maybe you get more yes coming your way. And that aspect, I think we too as a people have to pay attention to it. Yesterday I was on a panel and I asked them that, you know what, do we have any active conflicts going on the continent right now? And people were thinking, trying to find it, which conflict is going on, and that is very, very remarkable, because the African continent, you can't find a conflict. How does that happen?
Yeah.
And so I find that's why I said even 3 or 4 months ago we can't even say that, because Ethiopia was busy fighting. So but that fight somehow has stopped. So with Ethiopia conflict ending, obviously there was this prognosis in Africa. Yeah. So Somalia one is not active, is it? That's Al-Shabaab terrorist group that is still doing their thing. That is what I was referring to, was like international conflict between nations or civil wars in a country. And Africa, if I'm correct, Africa has done away with almost, that's at least as we speak, not a lot. I don't know of anyone. One African American came on and said something about this thing, the one in Cameroon. So I don't know whether that one is really active, because I've not heard anything about it recently. But if it's only one, I would take it. Europe has one going on right now. A bigger one actually. The Ukraine one is going on in Europe. If Africa has got only the Cameroonian one, which is happening in a low scale, really, I don't know what I would call that, even a proper conflict. It's not like a war zone where you see, people marching and fighting each other. You don't see that in. And have you heard anything about Congo too? I've not heard anything about Congo myself.
No, I haven't. It's a coincidence, because I joined that stream that you were on just for a few minutes for that little segment, because I had a few minutes. Yeah, I was there. Nobody was able to name any conflict, which is a major achievement for us.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I just asked a question out of thin air. I'm like, because I tried to think of one, because I was trying to say something. I was trying to think about a conflict, but I said, oh no, I can't find any that I can say. So, is there any active conflict going on the continent right now? And it tells you that something is going on underneath. And the leaders are actually trying to do something. And it's for we are online. We talk like we are like the cleverest people in town. Because the people that are actually working, they are not armchair warriors like us or like me.
I have to make one little point here, though. We're naturally very critical people, and I think the leaders are humans, and we have to be able to encourage them when they do something, when they achieve one of our objectives. It can't be, as you said, you'll take yes for an answer. It can't be that every single thing, 100% of what they do is bad. When they do good, we should say. And I know I've seen a lot of memes on the internet saying that we shouldn't thank leaders for building a school or building a fire station, because that's what they were put there to do. But the human nature is that for some reason we need encouragement, even though it's our job.
Yeah,
that's just human nature.
I think these things they have a kind of grades. Like if the leaders are now used to delivering results. Yes, I can see a situation whereby you shouldn't have to be promising, thanking them for everything. Like all those people that when an aircraft lands, they start clapping for the pilot. It's like, come on, do you know how many aircraft that land every day?
But as a side note, I could understand in my case why I sometimes clap, because
you're one of them, man.
I really do it sometimes, because in my country, even though it's a very small country, somehow our pilots are very, very well trained. And when we land a plane, it's very smooth, a very smooth, classy landing. I have traveled many times in the USA, and when they land a plane, They drop you on the ground and you're thinking you want the phone number of a chiropractor because your whole back has been put out of alignment. And these
That,
are big airlines like American, you know, big airlines. And
I,
their pilots don't land the plane well. So when people land the plane well, I always appreciate it.
I see why you say we should appreciate that. You agree with me on that one because
Yeah.
you already applauding pilots that land
Okay.
that land their aircraft.
Who else wants to join in to make a contribution? But you can still stay. You can still stay to Niger.
Yeah. All right then.
You can still stay. Anyone else wants to add a point?
Aaron.
Yep.
Yes.
Tunja,
Hi.
can you hear me? Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Very good afternoon to all.
Good
How are you
afternoon.
doing?
I'm Marie
Afternoon.
Antoinette, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Josie, teacher Josie from Ethiopia.
Hi, Teacher Josie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, I've been watching and listening to your conversation, and many great deal of ideas raised from you and Mika, and then our brother from Nigeria came, and really from his point, particularly what he raised about this issue related to divide and rule is something like betting with people's innocent people life, you know. It's something like that. So far, some politicians just take care of their position, only take care of this. They don't give much attention to nation, and they don't think of the next generation, what
No.
is to be narrated on their grief. They don't think like that, you know. And this is one problem. To raise you some points is from the Horn of Africa. Yes, I will mention some points where this divide and rule, when some sensitive conflicts arise. Let's see, look at Congo, the potential resources found in Congo. And if you take Nigeria, let alone others, even the potential resource of Congo and Nigeria can nourish Africa. That is the evidence, you know, we have. And so when we look at areas of conflicts, they are focal points for the intruders to do so. And there is reason. One, if these areas are not controlled and become areas of conflicts, if they are secured, it will be dangerous for them because we get awareness, we get developed, and they cannot make us devices to fight their enemies. And that is the main reason as to, because
I
you
just
can't
want
find everywhere in Africa this divide and rule,
yeah.
you know. And if you ask issue of terrorism, where is the source of terrorism? Where does Taliban come from? Go back and read. Who trained the Taliban leaders first?
In the US.
And what was the mission? If you, there is another mission, you know. If you take Al-Qaeda means a mission, simply. But what was the real mission behind that? Where was the role, the source? I don't mention a country, but you know. And so let us take one of the focal points of divide and rule and take the previous Ethiopia. Eritrea, Djibouti, and Ethiopia were one nation recently. First, they negotiated leaders of Africa, Ethiopia, one of the leaders of Ethiopia. I'm sorry to raise this issue on such platform, but it should be raised. How long shall we conceal everything?
Yeah.
And then they talked to him and then made apart from Ethiopia. That was how Djibouti became independent. It was recently part of Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And you know, history of Eritrea and Ethiopia again. Was the departure really the will of the people? Had it been the will of the people, what was the cause for that 20-year war? Everything. You can understand and recognize that the departure, the independence, the referendum was not the will of the people. That what reveals this is the emotion of the people during the peace time, which was made by collaboration with Abiy Ahmed and Isaias Afwerki. You know how people burst into tears through happiness, pleasure for meeting each other. And that shows that the referendum was not based on the will of the people.
Yeah.
It was based, and again, I dare say that it was not the willingness of the two governments at all. There is another mission. Let me take you once to Djibouti. Next to Djibouti, immediately you will find the Gulf of Aden. To control the Gulf of Aden, it is a must and mandatory to control Djibouti. And can you find militaries of different countries, different Europe and America, on Djibouti in any other part of the world? Tell me, please. You know, had there been powerful government there, this can't be happen. This can't happen. And look, behind any conflict in Africa, there is another external mission. And so, and what the problem there was, the people were not aware. There was no adequate education. The people were not educated to this extent, which happened on Uchale Peace Treaty. Remember, you know, there was again another treaty between even African siblings, which was made by external parties. I can raise some examples. And so, if you take all these issues, there was external hand, an alien hand that makes this all mix. And so, the other problem, the other factor that leads to aggravation of this conflict, this divide and rule, is the curiosity of our leaders to authority, to power, to have power, looking selfishness. And instead of making history, they simply strive for a simple fairness, some of them. And again, the people were not aware. I do believe now this cannot happen in Africa.
I have
because, am I making a sidetrack?
No, I have a question, just a quick question. Sorry to interrupt, but I was wondering if we could employ the same techniques used for, well, I don't want to call it subliminal messaging, but
Don't worry.
when
I
people
understand.
make movies, and if we had a movie that reenacted the way foreigners come to our continent and turn one community against another, if we had enough of that messaging, I think it would cause a stir and people would wake up to see that they are being manipulated. And
Okay.
somehow so
Okay.
many people know that this took place on a subconscious level, but then if a politician says the Tigrayans or the Eritreans did so and so, they fall back into the same pattern of thinking. And I was hoping we could, you know, use the technique of the other societies, make movies about foreign manipulation, make movies about um, and, and with a good ending that people, after a generation has passed, people are beginning to wake up and they eventually overcome what was done. Another thing too, I've noticed that there are students from China in so many countries, and I was thinking if we could do something similar by having exchanges of young people, then they would be these communities would be too intertwined to be overcome by um, differences, tribal differences, if we want, for want of a better term. What do you think about those techniques?
Well, as I mentioned you earlier, previously we have no advanced education before this era, before 20, 30, 50 years. One of the barrier to this divide and rule, one of the factors that aggravated is or give pavement is lack of adequate education and awareness about identity, you know. But nowadays, if you come to Ethiopia, most people had awareness that there is external intrudent parts who aggravate this war between Ethiopia and Ethiopian people. I don't call Tigray or Ethiopia apart. We are one. I'm Oromo, and Tigray is another person, and this is a matter of tribe. It is minor difference. So I call it just simply conflict in Ethiopia rather than calling this and this. And so many Ethiopians, even the Tigrayans themselves, know that there is an external alien hand behind this conflict, you know. And again, when you come to our artists, have already started making different plays around this issue. I've watched many of them, and they are making awareness that external uh, parties are uh, just making a difference among us, just pretending that they come to help us, they come to assist us, and just how can I explain it? Is taking us as persons always in need of help. And that is what they are making, you know, from inside. And now different YouTube platforms are being formed actually. And Mika has already mentioned this technique for me just last week. And we are trying our best. One of our friends, our family, whose name is Deborah, has already formed a platform, and she has already created a YouTube page, and to create awareness about One Africa, to decolonize mind of inferiority, mind of failure to accept oneself, mind of ignoring humanity, to decolonize this all. We'll play our role, and we'll make as much as effort we can. That is what we are making. And so this is expected of every Africa, every rational person throughout the world. And that is what is needed. And so So far, there was no education. Technology has not been advanced, and even now, Africa should strive to make change in technologies too. Oh, my question here is little about unity. Unity is a very simple thing to make unity, because we can tolerate each other. It's known that human beings are created from single atom,
Yes.
and so we have many things in common than differences, And so we should strive, apart from this unity, creating awareness to create united Africa, borderless Africa. Our educated individuals should think of advancing technology. Why should we rely only on FB or Facebook or YouTube or whatever? We have to make our own creativities too on these software parties, because I've seen some problems elsewhere, and so I'll write this privately on your email. And so many problems are there. So we should have option. Not only this platform, other platforms should also be there,
Yeah.
And so that is my objective. Apart from this platform, even software developments also should be there. And that is the extent to which we should strive right now. And that is my intention. And so, as far as the divide and rule, now our people are being aware right now, and so we'll make awareness together, and there is no doubt that Africa shall unite, and that is my belief, and it is the goal for which I die for, and that is all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Teacher Josie. Don't hesitate to come back if you think of another point that you probably forgot to say here. Today is an open. I'm not strict on time because I don't have any other engagement this evening.
Okay.
Anyone else wanted to make any contribution?
Yeah, my contribution is, I don't know what to do with this platform because Mika is so much busy, and the same is true with Pastor Ezra. Uh, I don't know how to share this burden with you, and is there anything thought on? Because we should have time, It is almost after midnight here in Ethiopia, and to tell you the truth, we need time to discuss on these issues. Many ideas may come, and even there are individuals who may protest this idea, this issue, because of lack of awareness. And so they should get awareness why and how. And so we need to share the platform to our friends. And so please think of the time. Actually, we can share it tomorrow, but you can't get the idea that's going to be shared right now just tomorrow on this platform on the comment section. You can't get because it is not a timely action. You can't make reaction to that comment, and that is, so try to make at least before a midnight, around 4 to Central Africa is a good time for me, and common for all Africa, because this is African platform, not only some countries, but it is an African platform. That is what I want to comment here. And right now, it is very important to discuss on such issue, because if we try to stop it on time, It won't be happening,
Yeah.
And my question is, how long should we discuss on problems? Actually, we can't be out of problems in any case till we live in this world. But
Yeah.
about we are hearted, we say always, and so this should be avoided in a meanwhile. That is my curiosity as far as Africa is concerned. And so far, let me mention for you, that there is always resistance to a change.
Yes,
To a
that's
change,
true.
When change comes, just it encounters or it confronts some resistances. Let me give you one question, one example. When Pan-Africanism, issue of Pan-Africanism was raised by Kwame Nkrumah or Thomas Sankara, the northern parties have protested at the very beginning. But when they become convinced, we got Gaddafi, our father Gaddafi.
Yes.
And then he became a famous proponent of Pan-African. Then, when he became Pan-Africanist and strived to reunite Africans, as our legends like Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, and Magufuli and others say, then he got resistance,
Yeah.
bad resistance. You have mentioned it earlier about common currency, borderless Africa, he said, and even he on AU summit, he mentioned that no, we don't have to. Why should we make transaction in our country, in our continent, with US dollar? Why don't we have our own currency? That was his question. Second, we don't have to, some other party should not decide the price for which we sell our resources. We should make decision. Even we don't have to sell it for dollars. Why not for gold coins, he said. We
That
should
was
decide. Yeah, that was his question.
That was
That
the reason he was assassinated. Both
Yeah,
Saddam Hussein
of
and Muammar Gaddafi wanted
very
to
nice.
make
Very
the
nice.
US dollar,
Yeah.
to replace the US dollar as the oil dollar, as the currency in which oil is traded. And that was the reason they both were
Yeah.
assassinated. Besides
Of
the interest in Pan Africanism in the case of Gaddafi, it was that was one reason, but the main reason was that he wanted to replace the US dollar.
Of course, yeah. That was the main protest.
Yeah.
And the intruders, the aliens don't like our unity, and they come to our brothers who are proponents of this unity. And then what happened in Libya? What was the case? Was there only the intruders factor? What about education?
Yeah.
Educational status of the people?
Yeah.
Most of the time, in Arab world, actually not now, previously, before 20, 30 years, they don't give this much attention to secular education. But it's good to know the secular world as well as the spiritual world. That was my intention. I have no problem with any religion, and with any religion. I respect. I have Muslim brothers, I have Christian brothers. We live together. We support each other. They tell, and we just, it is good. We tolerate each other. Which
It,
religious part. And so, no, this is to simply mention you. There is to make clear my outlook about religion. And so there was not this much advanced educational status within a people. There was no awareness. If there were this much awareness, Gaddafi wouldn't have been killed like that.
Yeah.
Till he loses burial place. You remember?
Yeah.
And so, and one of our sister, Deborah, mentioned one day, where did they take the rifles or the weapons to kill the Al-Shabaab? And who is killing Al-Shabaab, she said. The same is true. The same happened in Libya. We Africans participated in the assassination of Africans.
It's true.
And this should not happen anymore. And that
Yeah.
is what we are striving for. You get me?
Fully
And
agree to Lucy.
so we should stand by each other.
Yeah.
Whatever, if your idea is wrong, no alien part should tell me that you are wrong. No. We should discuss if there is something wrong. And I've mentioned most of the time that we are 54 siblings, and
yes,
nothing would be beyond the capacity of all these 54 siblings. And unless they are invited, no one should come to make peace to us. We are enough for each other, you know. And so this should be a stand, an objection to all Africans, to all African leaders, to all African citizens. And we are not always in need.
Yeah.
They came wearing religious masks, and many things, you know. We should be aware of why they come. So we don't have any hatred opinion to any human being. All humans are equal and should be equally treated. And then they should treat us. Any human being should treat me like he wants to be treated.
Yeah.
And this is our base. Our base is Ubuntu, humanity. And that is our objection. And so this divide and rule, for this divide and rule, many problems, many factors have been avoided. Factors like lack of awareness, factors like lack of advanced education. And when I say education, you know, previously, if you feel headache, you should run to clinic or hospital. But nowadays, you can read from internet, you can ask another person and get easy treatment, you know.
Yeah.
And so awareness. So people are now a bit aware than some 10 years and so forth, you know. That is what I mean by awareness. You don't have to be a politician to know a bit about politics. You don't have to be a doctor to know about some diseases and how to prevent diseases from you and your family. And awareness creation. So people's awareness is a bit great nowadays. That is what I mean. And so that factor have been avoided. And now what is expected is unity and advancing the technology. That is what should be acted upon.
I wanted to mention the issue of funding. A certain European country gave funds to, let's call it a body of unity within the African continent. And they were displeased that leaders wanted to use the funds for development. They specifically wanted the funds to be used for conflict. And that alone should say the purpose of the funding. Do we really need to receive these funds? Is it absolutely necessary? Because they are taking measures to prevent the funds from being used for development anyway. why do we need to accept the funds? That is my question. If anyone could
Well,
answer that question, I would be very, very grateful.
you know, I will answer this question, but I do have one question. For your question, my answer is, we used to exchange a kilo of wheat by a quintal of diamond. What is it? That was the help. Who helped whom then? We have been changing a kilo of teff in turn of a quintal of diamond. That was the way they were helping us. My question here is there United Nations? Is there a really United Nations on this world? Will you answer this? Don't mention pseudo unity. You know, had there been United Nations, Security Council, these are pseudo, they are masks. Yeah. Only few individuals are spoiling this world, you know. Yeah. If you take the incidents in Ukraine, there was a call, whom do you support? What does this mean? It is invitation expected of a united party.
Yeah.
Had there been unity, then the united party should strive for reconciliation.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of aggravating. And I will help this party with this military material, and I will help this part. And they say, and where is their unity? I lost. I couldn't get their unity. They are always in conflict, dividing each other as they divide us, you know. And so, as the PM said, and the Prime Minister said, reunification is needed. Not only restructuring, reunification is also needed for this world. For this world to be in peace, reunification is needed.
I agree.
And prudence should be slow. And so, actually, as I said, there was a need, you know. There was motive in a leader. The motive can be nation-based or self-based. When it becomes nation-based, he refuses. I don't want you, because it comes against interest of the nation.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was what had been happening in Africa, and so it was not right to accept everyone who comes to, I will help you. Is that real? Our government, our leaders should have made an investigation behind them. And let me tell you a true story. You know, I live on the western part of Ethiopia, near Sudan. I live around there. Before invasion of the fascist Italy in Ethiopia, there was a priest called Muse Almido. It's history, not a story. And then Muse Almido occupied, he is praised, he is respected, and immediately when Italians invade Ethiopia, when the war breaks out, then the other local priests discussed and decided to accompany him till border of Sudan, so that he can go to his home safely. And The argument there was, he is a man of God. He has helped us a lot. And if this man, if something goes with this man on our land gets perished, condemned, and we all get dismissed from this world, they said, and thereby they appointed the local hero whose name is Shri Kubi. And then Shri Kubi was appointed to take him up to Sudan border, up to Gambela, then from Gambela to Sudan. Then when they reach on midway, actually traditionally you sing and you play when you go a long journey on foot. Since they go on foot in desert, they need to play. And so while singing, Shri Kubi said something negative about the depressed. And then the idea of the song is like this. I had lunch here. I had grasses here, but I don't have sickle to cut it with. I have lunch here, but I have a fear of the king, he said. You know, I can kill you, but I fear for the king, not the people, he said. That was the intention. And Musa Almido has lived along within the community. And Shri Kubi has something to suspect. He suspects the press that he is not a truly religious man. And that is why he wanted to kill him in that desert. But what can he say when he comes back? And that was his fear. And then after some years on the re-invasion, Musa Almido came wearing a military fatigue, a military clothes, wearing a military clothes. And then he ordered the people to call upon Musa Shri Kubi. And he wanted to kill him. And again, he feared that he has once called a man of God and so forth. But he punished Shri Kubi by making him build a hut. That was how Shri Kubi's life was saved by then, you know. In many cases, if you take issue of relief workers in Tigray or wherever, the issue was not only that. Had it been like that, there were many external workers who were expelled immediately during the war. They said nothing. They went out. They went out because they know their truth. You know, unless and otherwise, there are many foreigners in my hometown who good deeds is still here. No one touched them. No. So not all of them. There are some individuals who come for another mission, just wearing other masks, like help or religion or many things, you know. And that is, we should take care. We should watch out, not only the government. What about the people? The people himself should know why some part comes to his area to do what. Even the local, the citizens themselves should watch out each other, you know, who work for the nations truly.
I agree. That was the reason that Prime Minister Modi actually discontinued the licenses of 6,000 NGOs in January. He reinstated 74, but he realized that their intention really wasn't in the best interest of his people, and he took a hard stand.
Yeah, right decision. That was right decision, you know. And even actually, I don't have tangible evidence, empirical evidence about that. There were some foreigners who caught red-handed with rifles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but they didn't come to make an aid with rifles, with weapons, you know. And so we are in an era of technology, and so not only the government, not only, we don't have to blame only leaders. Actually, yeah, our prime minister is doing his best, but even if he does something wrong, he should not be the only accountable person, the only responsible person. Always we accuse leaders, past leaders, no. What about us? What are we doing now? What are we contributing as citizens? What are we doing?
One
Yeah.
thing that I really learned a lot from what you've just said was when you mentioned that the people said he's a man of God. So even though he's doing something that is an injustice to us, we can't say anything or else we'll be struck down. God, that's one thing that has been a major downfall for us as Africans. God is a God of justice. And when somebody who is supposed to be what we like to call a man of God does something that is a terrible injustice, we need to pray for the strength to do what is right and put an end to the injustice. There's nobody, no human being who should be elevated to godlike status that when they do something that is terribly wrong, again, they commit an injustice against us, we are afraid to say so. That is a major, and that is why the colonizers were able to do what they did to us. I am not against religion at all, but I am against people using religion to commit injustices against us, to manipulate us. That exists. And we shouldn't be afraid to do what is right. We can't elevate men of God, as we say, people of God, religious leaders to godlike status. That when we do that, that is a form of idolatry. We're not realizing that that is what it is. And we're always afraid. I notice it's something with us Africans that we just can't say when a pastor or a man of God commits an injustice. Injustice is sin. And that has been one of the reasons why so many people are saying we have to abandon religion altogether in Africa, which I don't agree with, but I understand why they are saying so. You see? In addition to the problem of disunity and divide and conquer, elevating religious leaders to godlike status is what has been our downfall.
That doesn't have problem. If they elevate him to God's status, no problem for that. Such people even do not have religious knowledge to this extent. You know, little knowledge is dangerous, they say. They say, I don't know who said that, but that's really true. When you know little, you think that no one knows more than you, and that creates problem, you know. So,
yes,
to be religious doesn't prevent you to protect your nation, your country.
Yes.
Actually, the man has a fear of God. That is enough. No religious matters. You know, our people couldn't differentiate something. Religious is something, and faith is another thing. The mainly important thing is not religion. It is faith.
Yes.
It is what you live. It is what you actually do. If you are my religious partner, and if our life is completely different, if I think positive and you think negative, what does the religion do for me? Nothing for me. And let me ask one question. Religious come recently. Before religion, there was mankind.
Yes.
There was mankind even before religion. Let me ask you one question. What was religion of Abraham? Will you tell me?
He didn't have a religion. He had a relationship with God.
What was religion of John the Baptist?
He came before Christ. He had a relationship with God. He didn't have a religion.
You see, even the word Christian is a recent name, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is a recent name. Before then, people used to live with God. There were people who had fear of God.
Yes.
There were people who were appreciated by God. That is witnessed both in Bible or in Quran.
Yes.
Holy Quran. You know? So we struggle, we make conflict, we argue on unarguable things, you know. We debate on undebatable things. This is not the issue.
Yeah.
This is not the issue. He is a man of God. That is no question for me. And to be a man of God doesn't prevent anyone to pray. Because David was a leader, isn't he? Wasn't he?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was leader. He was warrior, best warrior. Yes. He killed many enemies of him.
Yeah.
But lastly, how God witnessed about him. With all that sin, what did God say about him?
That he was after his own heart. He was a man after his own heart.
Yeah, I couldn't get anyone like Dave, he said. I appreciate it like that. So God doesn't see us as humans, you know. And so when I come to this issue, actually it is sensitive area. Religion and tribe issues are sensitive, and enemies know this. That is why they came to us with these issues.
Yeah.
And we should make awareness that no one became nothing by his own or her own willingness. For example, I'm Ethiopian. I haven't applied to be Ethiopian. My parents did not apply to make me Ethiopian. Just only it was God's will for me to be created on this world. And I'm created to take care of you, to take care of my brothers, to take care of mankind, and to worship God. This is the only purpose to live on this world. You know, and so we don't have to be this much sensitive when religious matters come. We should, what is the source? What is the real mission of this conflict? We should think, you know. We don't have to shout together. We don't have to make a mess when some other persons make a mess. And so that should what should really happen in Africa. So Africans should know that we all are brothers from the same stem. All the people on this world should know that all human beings have come up from the same stem, Adam and Eve. This is fact. And then different circumstances made us divide. Our ancestors, our forefather Adam and Eve were two, and so they could live together. But now we are about to be more than 10 or some billions, you know. And so we don't have to live together at one place to be siblings, because Africa is not enough for all these siblings. We all are one, as we are from Adam, and we are one as human beings. So we were created for each other, to help each other, to think good, to think positive for each other.
Yeah.
And so that is what I want to say. We don't have to get irritated when we get, or when we are exposed to some sensitive issues like religion, or what you call tribe issues. These are most sensitive things. People kill each other for something that happens there in America. What are they doing there? you know we kill each other here. The issue was raised in somewhere else outside,
Mm-hmm.
but here two brothers kill each other, but just because some religious issue raised here. And so we have to recognize the source, and then the mission behind, and then we should give or react accordingly. We don't have to kill our brother. Killing should not be the last and the only measurement. We should take care of each other, and that is what I want to say.
I think our continent has been blessed with very with systems of mediation, among elders, among groups of people, and we should try to bring that back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We should strive for mediation than aggravating conflicts. And, but what you called United Nations Security Council is striving to aggravate the conflict. And so when we come to Africa, even I don't know whether there are Congolese citizens here, they should think, why in Congo only? Why in Congo and around Central Africa, as well as on the whole? On the whole. And so what is the cause for this conflict? What is the cause? Is that really people's will? They should ask themselves this one. If you take South Sudan and North Sudan, I'm sure that if you interview both citizens, they are not willing to depart from each other because they live long together. Most of the time, inseparable families get separated because of such issue. I know what happened in Ethiopia during the referendum of Eritrea. Of course, I was young. I know our neighbors who wept bitterly for departing us, let alone their families. Let alone their families. There were families who wept bitterly for departing us. We are not Eritreans, but we loved each other. They were innocent. Even I realized they were Eritreans after the issue of the issue of referendum. We don't know about ethnicity, about tribe, about whatever. What I don't know. I have lived with Sudanese, with Congolese. There were Congo people around us. Italians were here till recently. Now he went to Addis because of some security problems around our locality. And I know different individuals. We live together. Arabs were here having shops and different business centers. We don't know about ethnicity. What's brought here is simply after referendum of Ethiopia and Eritrea, ethnicity. Who made this all? For more than 10 years, there was no war, there was no peace in Ethiopia. And the border was occupied by UN soldiers.
Wow.
And what was the situation in Ethiopia and Eritrea? The Eritrean people think that once upon a time a war breaks out, and then what will happen to us? And what do you mean this is a psychological terrorism? You know, nothing is more than psychological terrorism. It's good if that thing happens than worrying about something daily. You know? And so, you know, this divide and rule and some poisons that come from alien is danger. And so our people should make awareness to all citizens, and all the world people should know that this is irrelevant at all. Killing each other, not relevant. No country became benefited from war in this world. No country became winner. You think many grave wars happened in this world, but aftermath of the war is simply devastation in both parties. The aftermath result becomes simply devastation, a loss from both parties, because they fire dollars, not bullets. You know, that is what should be known. Enough for me. I want to say this all. Thank you, Chari.
Thank you so much, Teacher Josie.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. We learned a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I've got to make some breads, some chakula.
Okay.
Can you speak Swahili?
No, I can't. Not yet.
I'm sorry. Jina langu ni Josie means my name is Josie.
Okay.
I thought you know it, yes?
That's okay. Thank you. I was going to put it in Google Translate after the show.
Yeah, maybe you can get it, or you can ask Mika. Someone wrote this. What does it mean? Ask him.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I can't communicate this much, but I'm learning. Yeah, I'm learning communication in Swahili. We need to learn African language. You know, how long we learn foreign language?
Yeah.
That was my aim.
I got a Swahili textbook recently, so I just have to sit down and start studying. That's the thing.
Yeah. Okay, that is what it means. I guess I wanted to tell you my name, because many African countries communicate in Kiswahili, and I thought that you can communicate in Swahili language. And I'm sorry, I confused you then.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you for sharing this platform, and I appreciate all of you. And so I need to. I have a class after 4 or 3 hours. After all, just I need to get a bit rest. So good night to all of you. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Good night, Teacher Josie. Bye.
Good night. Okay.
Okay. Does anyone else want to start?
Hey, good afternoon again.
You've been waiting for so long. So long.
No, I was like enjoying through hearing what you have discussing in relation with the Pan-Africanism and also debating role policies. I was like trying to hear you more. I prefer to hear a lot than speaking that way.
Okay, I'm like that too. That's the thing.
Yeah. Where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. That's in the Caribbean, next to Venezuela. Trinidad was part of Venezuela before the British came, so they took over Trinidad from the Spanish. So that's how. That's the reason that we speak English instead of Spanish. But some of our place names are still in Spanish. Yeah.
Okay.
And Tobago was ruled by a number of countries: Dutch, French, British, but not the Spanish. But we became joined as one country, even though it consists of 2 islands. So it's Trinidad is one island, Tobago is another island, but we're one country. Yeah.
Okay. Just can you tell me the spelling, please? I don't hear this country before.
Oh, Trinidad, Trinidad, and Tobago.
Pardon, please. Through that, are you saying?
Okay, I could write it though in the chat. Trinidad, Trinidad, and I'll write it in the other chat as well. Let me see, Trinidad. Yeah, and you'll see it under Marie Antoinette, Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, so that's where I'm from.
Okay.
Yeah, but I spend.
So it's not, I think, in Africa, right?
No, it's not. It's in the Caribbean islands. Yeah.
So do you have an African identity? Or
yes, I am Venezuela. Just a minute.
So what? Which one? Which country?
So I'm from Trinidad, but I do have three cousins from Kenya, but where my great grandparents are from, I am not too sure. They may be from that region in Guyana. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
So you do have a number of identities where?
Yes. I'm not aware of all of them though. But the thing is, in the Caribbean, people are, I mean, it's predominantly African, but then people, do have maybe one Chinese great-grandmother or one Indian great-grandfather. It's a mixed place, but it's predominantly African.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So, I noticed that you were discussing about the divide role. As you are aware of that, we do have, there are, politicians who specifically do have 2 ways of leading their peoples. The choice are up to them. The first, as we have discussed now, a divide and rule, and the second one is build and unite.
Mm-hmm. Someone is our guest would like to know where you're from.
I'm from Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a place that I have an Amharic book, and I was starting on the alphabet, but I'm stuck on the alphabet. But eventually, I will learn the alphabet.
Yeah, indeed. We can help each other. We can teach you as well. Actually, it's not only from me expected. It's also expected from your end. You need to teach me as well.
Yes, definitely. I'll be happy to.
Yeah, thank you so much in that regard. So, as I said, the second option that they do have is the build and the unite. So, what? Pardon?
Could you repeat, please? The building?
Yeah, build and unite. Build and unite, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I mentioned, as I mentioned before, the divide and rule is the first alternative, and the second alternative that we do have is build and unite. So, what do you think of that? Most African countries chooses in order to lead their people. Just I need your opinion in this regard. Most of African leaders, I don't care about the Westerns. I do care, as I told you before, as I'm an African. I just want to talk about African issues for having African solutions. So I just want to be more specific for African leaders. So what do you think of that? Most African leaders or most African countries, which ways of leadership they can use to lead their people? Do you think that divide and rule or build and unite leadership style?
In the current moment, I mean, it's predominantly divide and rule, although Tanzania over the years was able to encourage have interchanges. So we had educational exchanges with children from one region being schooled in another region to promote unity. But I am not aware of other countries that have aggressively pursued unity. It seems as though divide and rule has been a challenge that we are yet to overcome.
Yeah, I think it is more obvious. Actually, I don't have any evidence to provide, but most African leaders are using the divide and rule leadership style. We know that it's drawbacks. I personally don't prefer to be applied for for all of African countries by using the divide and rule leadership style, because most leaders use this leadership style in order to fill their incompetency or insecurity gaps. Because if people unite with each other, on the next day there will become a challenge for the governor, so that mostly they prefer to divide the people into small pieces, and then they will secure their their power, and then they will gonna be able to lead their people without having any kind of issues, or they will have an opportunity to even abuse for power, abuse of power, and so many. All in all, it is for the advantage of the leader, the divide and rule. But nowadays, what we have seen, for example, in Ethiopia, you might be aware of that, of the we do have more than of 83, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the exact number, but more than 80 ethnic groups in Ethiopian country.
Yes.
So nowadays, as you are aware of that, there is extreme tribalism with each other among us. So I don't know what will be the solution in order to minimize such kind of extreme tribalist ideas, because everyone is, saying that of the I am the best tribe from the other, and due to personal egos and so many other reasons. And if you talk about the unity or the build and the unite leadership style, they will assume you are a fellow of a unitary system. rather than the federalism system. So if you prefer to have, or if you prefer to apply the build and unite leadership style, the next challenge that you are going to face is you are just trying to build a kingdom, a one family kingdom. It will be assumed by most of the other ethnic groups, just like this. So
Yes.
I don't know. As you can see from even the chat box, there are a number of people who are saying that of the Western. I don't really care what Westerns thinks about us, but what is the spirit within our brothers with each other? For example, in our country, as I told you before, we do have more than of 80 ethnic groups, but do we respect of each other? This is the first thing. We shall not externalize everything to Western. Of course, they do have their share for our diversity, for our misclassification, but the lion's share falls within us. So we don't respect with each other at the end of the day.
You know what I wanted to know? In Ethiopia, do you still have, councils of elders getting together to solve conflicts, or that system no longer exists?
Nowadays, we have a federalism system in Ethiopian country, but this federalism system is translated it's not translated in a proper way. Everything is, for example, if you are proposed to have an authority or one responsibility, a government responsibility, people are selected. The first criteria is by the ethnic groups. For example, majority of the people are from Oromo, and then the second people group are from Amhara. I think the third people groups are in Tigrayans. So, and then it will continue. Subsequently, I'm not such aware of that exact. I don't have such census data for this, but it's well known that Oromo people are the majority, the second are Amhara, and the Tigrayans are the third in the Ethiopian countries. And the understanding, as you are aware of that, there is one concept, I think, majorities vote, minorities right, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Which is not properly defined because if we go to the according to the ethnic profile, providing any kind of responsibilities for leading the countries, we are going to have the quality. We are not going to have the quality or the skill of an individual, rather than basing the ethnic profile of that individuals, assigning an assignment. So I don't think that it's fair to have to give an assignment or to give a responsibility based on the ethnic profile. Instead, it should be by the quality or by the skill that they do have or they do deserve.
I agree. Yeah.
So in addition to this, you were also like talking about the Pan-Africanism, for example, Horn of Africa. Let's take Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, and so many other countries. If we go any, not the whole Africa, let's be specific to more specifically to the Horn of Africa. Do you really think of that we cooperate with each other? For example, let's take Kenya, which is part of Horn of Africa. Kenya is a neighbor of Ethiopia.
Yes.
As you are aware of that, we do have an internal conflict. I don't want to mention it as a conflict, an internal war. So one of the contributor for this war is the so-called, if you know, Onagshani.
Sorry?
Onagshani. Yeah, which is an internal terrorist, which is announced by the House of Federation in Ethiopia, by the ruling government. They are basing in Kenya. Actually, they are Ethiopians.
Yes.
But they are now basing in Kenya. The Kenya government, if there was any kind of cooperation between all of these Horn of African countries, we can minimize the impacts of internal terrorists, because Kenya government knows these internal terrorist group supporters who are based in Kenya. Let's take Sudan, for example.
Right.
Sudan government supports those internal terrorist groups by giving them, some space for the training staff, or for those terrorist supporters who are supporting the TPLF terrorists internally. It could be in financial, it could be weapon support, it could be even army force. So we are always saying that everybody agrees with the Pan-Africanism concept, but when we come to the reality on the ground, we didn't see the real cooperation with each other.
Yeah.
So how come we can talk about the Western's impact on us? First of all, we shall cooperate with each other. Without cooperating with each other, without blaming each other, how can do you think that do we have the moral to blame Westerners? First, we have to blame ourselves. Do we really do we really respect with each other? First, we shall also cooperate. My brother has previously said that everybody is not born by choice. For example, I'm an Ethiopian. I'm proud of that. I'm an African. I'm Black African. I'm proud of that as well. But this is not by choice. This is the God's will.
Yeah.
So if that is the God's will, for example, I might be Oromo, I might be Amhara, I might be Tigray, I might be Afar, I might be Somali, I might be whatever I could be. I'm not born by my choice. I am born by the God's will only. If that is the case, we should always see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is we do have only one Adam and one Hawa, or one Adam and one Hawa in Muslim context and in Christian context. So the bigger picture is only unity. We have only one father, the so-called Adam. We do have only one mother, the so-called Hawa. But if we talk such kind of ideas with many of us, it is always perceived that you are supporting the unitary system of leadership style. So you are you are always trying to support, you are always to support to build a kingdom, a one family kingdom, rather than democracy, creating democracy. Without federalism, we cannot. Of course, federalism, I know that most of the politicians or most of the scholars support us the federalism kind of ruling system. I'm not such a politician. I'm not expert on it. I don't know. I don't have a detailed understanding on that perspective. But whatever the case, if federalism system is translated in such a way, like applied in my country, I don't think it would be a good system. If you talk about unity, if you talk about United Country, United States of Africa, or United States of Ethiopia, in my country context, you are always assumed to be, a follower of a unitary system. In our local saying, it is called Ahadawian. I don't know if Ethiopian people are here. They can understand it, this terminology. So most of the issues that we are facing nowadays is because of the personal egos. Most people are not seeing the bigger picture. We are a man of God. We are one. We are one. If we talk about it in such a way, everybody refuses you at the end of the day. So I don't know. Above all, to summarize, we shall not talk about the Westerns. We shall not criticize without credentials for all the Western countries. We shall see ourselves first. Do we really support with each other? Do we really respect? Do we really equally treat with each other? For example, for example, as I said before, we do have more than 15 ethnic groups in our country, and if you want to have, for example, let me take myself as an example, and if I take myself to have, public service from one of the government body in my country, and there might be some back-end forces for completing those public services from those government entities. And nowadays, everybody is translating all these bureaucracies, government bureaucracies, due to my ethnic profile, which is really shocking, because we know this is Africa. There is corruption. Due to the corruption issues, it's natural to see, some back-end forces for having a completed service in a given time period. So it might take you, for example, even to have your ID card for more than 1 week time or 2 weeks time. So if I assume this due to my ethnic profile, it will be dangerous. Because I'm not the only one that is having such kind of bureaucracy from the government entity. Everybody in my country is facing such kind of bureaucracies. So what is my fear at this point of time is everybody is saying that it is due to my ethnic profile. Everybody saying that it's due to my ethnic profile. How come we can have a United States of country? So
really is tough.
It's really tough. It's really complicated. It
And
is deep-rooted.
Deep-rooted problem.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to solve the problem of terrorism either.
Indeed, it's a very even it's hard to put a recommendation as a solution for this. Just my opinion for this is to build uh, you know high quality economy standards for each and every individuals. For
Yeah.
example, if you do have the survival of our lives. What I mean is, if the economies of our country developed from time to time, the interest of living or the interest of loving of our countries might also improve similarly. So if there is an inflation in our economic context, if the standard of living become worse, high, if the purchasing power of our money declines, I hope this will have a direct impact for the unities of the people of a given country.
I agree.
So
You know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
I did want to mention one thing that I really admire about Ethiopia: the fact that they were able to raise money among the citizens for the dam, that and not take foreign aid. I think that Ethiopia has a special place in my heart for that reason. Really,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that is
indeed,
admirable. I
indeed,
just thought
indeed.
I had to mention that.
Yeah, thanks, Cherry. To be honest, thanks so much. You do have a great insight on this regard. Imagine every single individual in our country is taxed from 10% up to 35% from their salaries.
Mm-hmm.
However, this great Renaissance dam is, a country-wise issues, but the people are willing to contribute more in addition to the country's taxation system. We have also not only tax, we have also pension as most of the other countries with 7% of your salary deduction.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean? For example, if you do have a salary of more than of 10,500 Ethiopian birr per month,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to be taxed 35% plus 7% pension,
Yeah,
which is about 42%.
that's a lot.
Imagine, this
Yeah,
is not the only case.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have also social contribution, social affairs in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
If you are serious Christian, or if you are serious Muslim, you might also have a contribution for your church or for your mosque.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you might be aware of that. Most of
Yes,
the people in Ethiopia
yeah,
do have a strong relationship with their God,
yes, yeah.
so that you also have such kind of untold contribution in addition to
Mm-hmm.
those contribution. Having all these deductions from your earnings, monthly earnings,
Mm-hmm.
imagine the people has contributed a lot through SMS text.
Yeah. Everybody respects Ethiopia for their great spiritual awareness. The relationship they have with their God is amazing. I was actually looking on the internet 2 weeks ago for Ethiopian prayer books, and it's amazing people from Europe purchased Ethiopian prayer books, and they're now selling it on eBay for $400 US, which I don't have. It is amazing. Yeah. I'm sure they didn't buy it in Ethiopia for $400 US, but everybody really respects Ethiopia, and I think that is what has. That is the reason nobody has been able to defeat Ethiopia in spite of the conflict. We just have to continue to pray, because, I really would like to see the conflict resolved. And I think with the younger generations, it will resolve, because I'll tell you, when I was in school at the age of 7, she was a classmate, said that her parents told her not to play with Negroes too much, or not to play with Africans too much. And that always stayed with me. It's the parents who teach children prejudice.
Okay.
And I think the prejudice, with time, with each generation, minus the terrorism, which is a more difficult problem to solve, I think people will realize that it doesn't really serve us well. And with time, I think, and time and prayer, I think Ethiopia will be able to overcome it. I really think so.
I wish.
Yeah, because the Europeans respect Ethiopia's spiritual strength, if I could call it that. They really do. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, with the choice that we have is only God. So that we are always relying to Almighty God.
Yes.
But nowadays, I can tell you frankly that the people are, more specifically the young generation, are respecting more of their ethnic profile than their religions or their beliefs, which is unfortunate, because for example, I can mention that, for example, let's take TPLF. As you might be aware of that, TPLF has ruled this Ethiopian country for 3 decades, imagine.
TPLF has
ruled
the country for 3 decades.
For about 3 decades.
Okay.
Now, which is declared to be an internal terrorist. And the conflict is between the Ethiopian government and not the conflict, the war is between those group and the Ethiopian government. And I can tell you that I can mention, actually it's not the total population, but more than of 95, or I can mention that, let me make it for more than of 90% of the people or the population refuses this internally declared terrorist group for no more power in the country. And imagine there are, of course, there are people who are supporting this group. As I said before, it might be 10% of the total population. And in Ethiopia context, we don't have the problem, this group, to lead those 10% of the total population communities. We don't have the problem with that. What is what is the problem that we have with this group is they cannot stay in power more than of these 3 decades time, because we need to see changes.
Yes.
We need to see the new energies. We need to see the new ideas. We need to see the new ideologies. So, for example, if I personally, I'm not a supporter of this TPLF group. I personally, this is my right. I'm confident more than of 90% of the total population of Ethiopia doesn't support this group, because they already have ruled for more than of 3 decades, for about 3 decades, as I said before. So there are 10% of people who are supporting this group, and if you touch this group, they will assume that you are just touching those people.
Yeah.
Not the party or the group members. For example, if I say that TPLF is terrorist,
yeah,
out of the 10% of the people who support this group, they will translate it. You are just as saying that those 10% are a terrorist, which is the dangerous impact of this tribalism, extreme tribalism. I know those people are very good people. Their culture, they do have a kind hearts. We live together for many of years time in our countries. Those people are a good hearted. I can be, the witness for this.
yes.
But this TPLF terrorist group, politicized the community. And if you are just saying that this group is a terrorist, the community will also translate it. You are just literally saying that the 10% people are terrorists. That's how they understood in such a way. If you are trying to get it understood, we are not saying that if you are a terrorist, we are only saying this party. For example, I don't want to mention my ethnic profile because I don't believe in tribalism concepts.
Yes.
I believe in one country, the so-called Ethiopia only, largely in African concept. So, for example, I can mention that of the, let's say that I am from Oromo people, assume. I'm not actually, but let's assume.
Yes.
There are a number of peoples who are from Oromo, who are from Amhara, who are from Somalia, Afar, Gurage, so many ethnic profiles. And there are also parties who are organized by their ethnic profiles. And if you touch those political parties that are organized by their ethnic profiles, no one will translate it personally to the people. But when we come to the TPLF, the people are, I don't know what happened, politicized. I know, I don't know, you might be aware of that. We have one priest in Ethiopia, in Orthodox Church. His name is called Magabi Hadis Shatu Alamayo, I think. Alamayo Shatu or Shatu Alamayo. He teaches that the people once upon a time, a priest who came from this ethnic profile is more of aware of that, the so-called Abiotawi democracy, which is about the politics concept rather than the biblical terms and terminologies. You know how the communities are politicized in such a way, even the religious leaders, not only the people.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult, to be honest. I don't know what will be the solution. I don't know. I know that there are a lot of ethnic groups, more in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how they are living nowadays together, or are they have the same challenges with each other. I need to see their experience just to understand it more. But as far as I know, for example, let's take Rwanda. There was a war between Hutu and the Tutsi, but nowadays they are just living their own company. You know, they are now living in peace, as far as I know, if I'm not mistaken. But they have experienced such kind of ethnic conflicts with each other. But we are not learning even from the Rwanda.
Yeah.
So as a solution, what I propose is the government of Ethiopia to have bigger responsibility in order to manage all this ethnic extreme tribalism in Ethiopia through improving the economies of the country. There will not be any other option. Minimizing corruption will also be a solution.
Yeah.
So this is what can I say. I was somehow emotional to say, because I'm always stressed, when I think about my country, to be honest, for having such kind of ups and downs. It doesn't deserve for us. If we see the people, the community on the ground in Hamara region, in Afar, even in Tigray region, the mothers and the fathers, even the babies, children, they are suffering a lot by the politicians' dirty games. I don't know when this war will give up at the end of the day. We don't have, mind satisfaction, because if we can see, you can see a number of beggars on the streets, but everybody is investing their money for weapons, which is luxurious.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But there are people who are living on the street who are not having their food, their daily food in one time per day, which is stressful. So I don't really I don't really care about the Western's influence on us. How come I can externalize my issue always, every day and every night, to Westerners? We shall all first cooperate with each other. We shall first to respect with each other, and then we can, if we can, build in United States of Africa. At the end of the day, we can, build our own confidence. We can challenge Westerns. We can kick off their influences that they are contributing nowadays on us. So we are not cooperating at the end of the day. We need to be clear. We shall cooperate first, and then we can externalize. But without cooperating, without supporting with each other, too many critics without credential will not be a solution at the end of the day.
Yeah. It is really it's always painful to watch, and frustrating as well,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Which is, you know, it's not only frustration, by the way, Cherry. It's not only frustration. I don't want to mention it as a frustration, because if I assume it as a frustration, I will take it personal.
Yeah.
The impact on my personal life. It's not
Yeah.
only the case. I'm living in my own company. You know,
Yeah.
I don't have any kind of insecurity issues. But the problem is, you know, if you go as I said before, Amhara region, Afar region, Tigray region, even in Oromia region, those area who are not having a war, an official war, there are people killed by the internal terrorist groups. Sometimes it became, you know, beyond my mind, because as I said before, there are a number of people who are living on the street, who are not having a food in a daytime, who are suffering, people in hospital without medication.
Yeah.
But nowadays the people are, you know, donating their own money, not only internally but also the diasporas, more specifically diasporas, who are contributing, who are donating their own money for, you know, for the war. Imagine, do you think that it is humanity? All of these are due to the personal egos, because I am a better ethnic group from the rest of 80s ethnic groups. If I
Yeah.
assume this, how come I'm just involving with the God's plan? Because
Yes.
as we said before, everyone is not born by choice, rather by the God's will. So we are strong. We do have historical background in the creation of this country. Everybody says in our country it's just like this. How we
Yeah.
can solve all these burdens? Mm, we do have a number of unemployment issues. For example, if you take my friends who are graduated 3 years back, 1 year back, 2 years back, they are still unemployed. They
I
are
was
still searching.
looking, that is
Yeah.
true. I was looking at it was a Facebook site because I was thinking, what job would I get if I moved to Ethiopia? And I did see that there were doctors who graduated and still were not placed in the hospital as yet. And it's a problem in my country too. We have a few doctors who had to wait a very long time after graduation to get a job.
Yeah, you know, Cherry, to be honest, as far as I know, if you are graduated in medicine, in Ethiopian context, the government will assign you a duty work for a minimum of 2 years time duty for the rural countries, for rural part of the countries, in order to serve the community. For example, for the rest of other departments, we are expected to pay the cost share depending on the field of studies. But for those students who are graduated in medicine, you are not supposed to find a job by yourself. It depends. If you are willing to search a job by yourself, you can go ahead, but you will have cost share repayment obligation at the end of the day. But if you are willing to be assigned in any part of the countries by the government or the Ministry of Health in Ethiopia, there will not be an issue for employment, more specifically for doctors
No, I'm
or
definitely not
health
picky.
workers.
Not picky. I'm not picky, but I do feel, your pain in watching your country, and I should say my country too, because Africa, really, I'm part of the family. That's the way
Yeah,
I see myself, as part of the family. I'm
yeah,
one of the 54 siblings. We'll
yeah,
definitely pray for that tonight, and we'll keep praying for not only the unity of Africa and the unity of all our various communities within our countries, but also we have to keep praying for a solution to the terrorism problem.
yeah,
And
yeah,
because that is a problem that really wouldn't be solved just by human effort alone.
indeed, absolutely. That is the lion's share of the God's will, the God's mercy is the lion's share of for the peace of the countries. Uh, so we will keep praying for our country, not only for our country, even for the world, for more specifically for Africa, in order to solve all the scenarios. But in relation with the employment. For the rest of, we do have a number of engineer students, we do have a number of accountants, we do have a number of other, more specifically in education sector, different field of studies. There are a number of people, but for you, it is too sad to hear if you have the opportunity to see those youngs, For example, I can mention that what I have heard in this week time, and not in this week, in last week time, was, from my friend and my brother. There has been it is an engineering vacant post for a total of 200 candidates. Imagine for a total of 200 candidates, the registered students were for more than of 10,000.
Oh, wow!
Imagine this happened in Addis.
Yeah.
Imagine we do have a number of regions in my country, a number of zones. We do have a number of waradas. We do have a number of kabales. So if these students came from the whole country, imagine how it could be, the number. It is only from Addis. The 10,000 registered applicants is only from Addis.
Oh. Job creation is linked to conflict among people. Like when people believe that there aren't enough resources and enough opportunities to go around, nothing stokes conflict like that.
Indeed, because it is because of as I said before, there are some assignments which is unfair or corruption. It could be treated as a corruption or unfair assignments by their ethnic profiles. So people will assume that I'm losing job opportunities due to my ethnic profile, they will assume just like this. So
Yeah.
there will be lacking of, country's love at the end of the day. So they prefer to categorize themselves with one group.
Yeah.
Imagine
I didn't like.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about that idea to put the ethnic profile. I think it was Tanzania. I'm not too sure. I can't remember which country, but to put the ethnic profile on a document to make sure that the resources and opportunities are fairly distributed. I could understand why everybody was panicking about that solution, because it opens, it sort of stokes the fire of the tribalism division. Yeah.
Pardon.
No, I could understand. I'll repeat. I could understand why people were very uncomfortable with having to state their tribe on a document, because and even though the intention would have been to try to address, fairness of opportunities, I think it could work against them or backfire as well.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
To be honest, as I said before, most people are more interested in this regard, as due to personal egos. We are one group might say that we are the champions. We are more of well, educated. They might assume themselves in such a way, which is out of the humanity in context. As you are aware of that, based on the number of the given population or community, the annual budget is allocated accordingly. So most people are more of attached to their ethnic profiles. As I said, even as I said before, nowadays ethnic profiles become higher than the religious even power. Most people are most of the communities nowadays, which is ashamed of that to say this. Even the religious leaders are channeled by their political parties nowadays in our countries. For example, people, as I said before, it seems, by the 10% of the population, it seems people are following this group, political group, as a religious firm.
Yeah.
So, which is, that's why I said that of the peoples are more of interested in their ethnic profile rather than their religious power. They are not relying by their own religion or by their belief or by their gods. Instead, by their ethnic profiles. So everybody nowadays have become really challenging in our country. Anyways.
Wow. Well, we're definitely going to pray, because our generation is, and when I say our generation, I mean people who are alive in this period of time. I'm not dividing us into millennials and Gen X and Gen Z and baby boomer. We're going to pray for for unity, for God's guidance in addressing conflict. And because people who are in tune with what is happening on the continent can sense that right now it's a different time. We have a different mentality.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is a ray of hope, at least. Yeah. So,
with the support of Almighty God, we can only pass this. Even otherwise, it will be difficult. Of course, as I said, I'm not a political expert, which is nowadays that I understand is politica is a dirty game. There is no moral issues that I'm observing from the political, from the politicians. You know, I swear to God, I can tell you that I cannot mention in my country this politician is politician has a fear of God. This has a better understanding for his own country or for his country's further improvement in the future. I cannot mention, to be honest, because you will definitely see the unforeseen actions of all of the politicians. Actually, it's not only for this country, but also for all over the world. But from my perspective, I cannot mention this political party is a good political party with good leadership thought and leadership styles for my given country. This is this would gonna tell you how I am. I'm not confident with the current leadership styles either.
Yeah, I could tell. Do you feel comfortable praying in Amharic or Swahili? Which one do you prefer?
From Amharic and what?
No, because I would really like you to do the prayer. But you can do it in Amharic or any language that you prefer. It doesn't have to be English.
Are you
the closing me? Prayer? Yeah, the closing prayer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, sorry, I don't understand you clearly.
Oh, okay. Would you like to pray to close the session?
Oh, for now.
Yes, but you can pray in your language. It doesn't have to be in English. Any language that you prefer.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, I prefer in America because I know Almighty God can understand in every language, but
that's okay.
It's not English is not my mother language. So I'm not as good on it. So I cannot, to be honest, pray in English.
That's okay. God understands. God understands.
Yeah, I think we can make it in a silent mode, right?
Yes.
We are. Yeah. So let's make it for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And when we are done, let's confirm with each other. Yeah, let's start now.
Okay. Wait, you want me to go first or?
Okay. I can. You please carry on, and then I will proceed.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the ideas that we have shared today. We have come before you as your children. You see that there are things that are burdens in our hearts, then we really need your intervention, Lord. The problem of conflict, the lack of unity. There are many, many painful issues that we would like your intervention to overcome. And we thank you for your presence here today. We thank you for letting the ideas flow in an atmosphere of love and tolerance and affirmation of one another. Thank you, Father. Thank you for bringing us here night after night to fight for our beloved continent that you have given us. We ask that you bless everyone here, all those who are dealing with personal problems that we don't share with anyone, those with health problems. We ask you to take control of our lives, to take control of everything that is keeping us from realizing the dreams that you have placed in our hearts. This is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, Jerry. I think now it's my turn
Mm-hmm.
to pray for 1 minute time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. ፈጣሪ ሆይ በዛሬው ቀን ያደረስከን እናመሰግንሃለን፣ እናከብርሃለን፣ እናመልክሃለን። የእመቤታችን የቅድስት ድንግል ማርያም ልጅ ሀገራችንን ጎብኝልን፣ ለመሪዎቻችንም ልቦና ስጥልን፣ ሰላምን አውርድልን በሀገራችን፣ በሕዝባችን፣ በአፍሪካ፣ በዓለም ሰላምን አውርድልን። ሁላችንንም ፍቅር ስጠን፣ እርስ በርስ የምንከባበርበትን መንፈስ ሰጠን ዘንድ እማጸናለሁ። በዘር በመንደር የተከፋፈለን ሀገራችንን እያሰቃየን ወላጆቻችንን፣ ልጆቻችንን፣ እህት ወንድሞቻችንን እዚህ ሰለባ ሆኑትን ሁሉ ትፈውሳቸው ዘንድ እማጸናለሁ። እመቤቴ ቅድስት ድንግል ማርያም እርቺን። Thanks to God. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Okay, thank you, my dear family, for this time that we've spent together. This was really wonderful. This was really wonderful. And I will continue to pray for our beloved continent, for all 54 of our 53 on the continent and the diaspora, all of us. I will continue to pray.
Thank you so much. Indeed, I will do.
Yes, and I'm just putting. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Muslim. We're all praying for our beloved continent.
Yeah, indeed. Actually, I'm Christian. I'm Orthodox Christian. As you said, it doesn't matter. The only thing is reaching Almighty God or Almighty Allah.
Yes.
For our current concerns in order to resolve our day-to-day issues for a prosperous continent at the end of the day.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Cherry, for your time, for your advice, for your prayer. Let's keep in touch in the future as well.
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
happy for having you.
Thank you. It was wonderful. You taught me so much because I only read a few things, but I didn't know much about Ethiopia.
Yeah, we can share a lot of ideas about your country and my countries, and we can have a better understanding with each other. We can build a strong sisterly, brotherly relationship. At the end of the day, we can share a lot of ideas. So thank you for that. Just for your information, it's about 3 a.m.
Yes,
in
you
the
have
midnight.
Okay.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, sleep well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Cherry.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. Sleep well, everyone. Bye.